The candy of patience. In a room filled with the sweet scent of magic and old books, Sami stood before a counter covered in shimmering jars. His grandfather, Grandpa Sabir, watched with a kind smile. "Choose wisely, Sami," Grandpa Sabir said softly. "Each candy holds a lesson, not just a flavor." Sami's eyes landed on a small, plain candy shaped like a tiny brown seed. It didn't sparkle like the others, but it felt special. He picked it up, wondering what a seed-shaped candy could possibly taste like. As soon as Sami placed the candy on his tongue, the room began to blur. The warm smell of the shop vanished, replaced by a cold, whistling wind. He felt himself spinning through a whirlpool of gray mist. "Where am I going?" he cried out, but his voice was swallowed by the clouds. When his feet finally touched the ground, he found himself in a place where everything moved too fast. He had arrived in the City of Haste. The City of Haste was a noisy, frantic place. People were running everywhere, looking at their watches and frowning. Sami saw a boy named Bastian trying to ride a bicycle. Bastian was pedaling so fast that his legs were a blur, but he wasn't looking where he was going. Suddenly, the bicycle hit a curb, and Bastian tumbled onto the sidewalk. Sami rushed over to help him, but the city felt heavy with tension. Bastian scrambled up, his face red with frustration. He didn't check for scrapes, he just kicked his bicycle. "I want to be a champion now," Bastian yelled. "Why is this taking so long?" Sami tried to speak. "Maybe if you start slowly you won't fall," he suggested. But Bastian didn't listen. He hopped back on and sped away, only to wobble and crash again just a few feet down the road. Sami walked further into the city and found a park where a mother named Elena was sitting on a bench. Her young son Leo was sitting on the grass with a pile of colorful building blocks. Leo was crying loudly, his face wet with tears. He was trying to build a giant tower, but every time he placed a third block, he grew frustrated that it wasn't a castle yet and knocked it down himself. Sami knelt beside the boy. "Do you want some help, Leo?" Sami asked gently. He picked up a blue block and placed it carefully on the ground. But Leo grabbed the block and threw it across the grass. "No. It's too slow. I want the castle finished," Leo screamed. Elena sighed, looking at the unfinished toys. In this city, everyone wanted the ending, but nobody wanted to do the work in the middle. Leaving the park, Sami reached the edge of the city where the gray buildings met brown fields. He saw a farmer named Silas standing over a row of tiny green sprouts. Silas looked desperate. He was reaching down and pulling at the stems, trying to stretch them upward. "Grow!" Silas shouted at the dirt. "I need my harvest today." As Sami watched, Silas pulled too hard, and a sprout snapped right in his hand. Silas sat down in the mud, staring at the broken plant in his palm. "Every year it's the same," Silas whispered, his voice full of despair. "I try to make them grow, but they always break." Sami realized that the City of Haste was a place of sadness because no one knew how to wait. They thought haste would bring success, but it only brought broken bikes, unfinished towers, and ruined crops. Finally, Sami reached a quiet beach at the very edge of the world. There, he saw a girl named Amira. She was building a magnificent sandcastle with many towers and bridges. As Sami watched, a large wave rolled in and washed over the shore. When the water retreated, the sandcastle was gone, turned back into a flat pile of wet sand. Sami braced himself, expecting Amira to scream or cry like the others. To Sami's surprise, Amira didn't cry. She simply picked up her plastic bucket and began to scoop more sand. Sami walked over and sat beside her. "Why aren't you mad?" he asked. "The wave ruined everything." Amira smiled, her hands busy patting the sand into a firm base. "The wave is just part of the story," she said. "If I stop now, there will never be a castle. But if I keep going, it will be even stronger." Sami helped Amira for hours. They worked slowly, building the walls thick and the towers tall. Every time a small wave came close, they built a wall of stones to protect their work. "I understand now," Sami said. "Patience isn't just waiting around for something to happen. It's staying calm and continuing to try, even when things get washed away." As the castle stood finished and strong, the grey world around Sami began to glow with golden light. In a flash, Sami was back in the candy shop. The air was warm again, and the smell of sugar was sweet. He looked down at his hand. The candy was gone, but in its place was a real, solid seed. Grandpa Sabir patted his shoulder. "Patience is like a seed, Sami," he said. "It doesn't look like much at first, but with care and time, it grows into a tree of success." Sami smiled, holding his seed tight, ready to start his own garden, one slow step at a time.